Reiki Ryoho Usui Gakkai. There might be more words to that, I don't remember. So, the misconceptions about Reiki is that it's ancient, that it's as ancient as Sanskrit. This is false. The Reiki symbols come from Dr. Usui's hired military friend that was also very spiritual, but like high up in the military. And he's the one that created the symbols for the attunements. So the story is that this dude, Usui, he was born in Japan to very prominent, wealthy parents. And it was in his life plan from the moment he was born that he was going to go and study abroad in Europe and become a doctor. And that's exactly what he did. He grew up in a little quaint little life in Japan and then studied abroad in England and became a doctor and learned English. And came back and opened up a clinic, and he opened up a free clinic because he was wealthy. And he was not feeling fulfilled in life. He was like, I know there's something more. And so he booked a retreat, as we would call it these days, up on a mountain in northern Japan called Mount Kurama. And this is a mountain that people use for meditative retreats. So it wasn't like a new path or a new place or a new thing that he was doing. And so he goes and he sits underneath a waterfall for like 21 days or something like that. And he has like fruits and vegetables to eat, you know, and he's like, and like the place that he's sitting on top of the waterfall is banging on his head, right? And so he has a constant stream of water banging on his head, right? And the story is a little bit unclear on when the Reiki came into his body. It was either in this period of water falling down on his head for 21 days, or on his way down from the mountain, severely malnourished and lightheaded from having a waterfall on your head for the last 21 days, he fell down the mountain and broke his leg. And then with the power of Reiki, he was able to heal his leg enough to go back to the monastery that he was going to, right? And so Reiki either came into him while the waterfall was on his head, or came into him on his way down the mountain when he fell and broke his leg, and then was like calling out for help, and then the Reiki came in him. Either way, it is a frequency. It is an energetic frequency that is celestial. So maybe not from the earth. It's kind of like a heavenly one. It is benevolent in consciousness. It does have consciousness. It is, it's a good carrier, so you can like put intentions into it, right? So because it's light, so you can like load things into it. And it's lavender in color. And so I got attuned to Reiki 1 in 2009 when I graduated high school. I got attuned to Reiki 2 in like 2011. That sounds right. It might have been 2012. 2011, 2012. By December of 2012, I had Reiki 2 because I went down to Mexico with it. And then in 2013 or 14, I got attuned to Reiki Master. I've only attuned one person to Reiki Masters. But I went from 2014 until 2017 teaching, being like a Reiki Master and attuning people and doing attunement classes. And I studied a bunch of other things as I was studying Reiki too. So I studied shamanism from all over the world, and then I went to the places of the world where I found most intriguing. And yeah, I went to the Northwest School of Healing in Seattle. And that's where I have like my official certificates out of. But I will absolutely attune anyone who asks me to attune them. I charge $1,000 for Reiki 1, $500 for Reiki 2, and $150. Wait, nope. Switch that. $1,000 for Reiki Masters, $500 for Reiki 2, and $150 for Reiki 1. And yeah, I love teaching it. It's fantastic. I love teaching it. I don't teach it so much anymore because I do find it very patriarchal. It's a dude that, you know, found it, and it has like, I can feel that kind of like, it's a dude that found it energy. However, the Reiki that is here, most of the Reiki that is here in the Western world, and most of the Reiki that went all around the world, is through the lineage of Takata, who is a woman, perhaps a lesbian. And she, during World War II, Usui thought that, you know, Japan was going to get blown out of the water, and so he instructed Takata to go to Hawaii and spread Reiki throughout the world, and that was going to help heal from World War II. And then in the 70s through 90s is when it really started blowing up, because up until the 70s, getting a Reiki master was like buying a house. It cost like $40,000. So, yeah. That's part of the reason why I charge for it, is because I think that it's an energy that likes to be charged for it. However, like to get the masters for it, but then to use it. So Dr. Usui fell down the mountain, healed his leg enough that he could go home or whatever. And then brings it to his free clinic and starts doing it in his free clinic, and it's so successful that people only come in once and then they're cured of everything. And so it didn't matter what ailment it was. It could have been like an external wound, it could have been an internal wound. They would do a combination of blowing and tapping techniques to move energy through the body using this frequency, and people would only have to come in once for treatment. Yeah, it's incredible. And so he, for a very long time, he only taught men. And then he got married, or maybe he was already married, but his wife like figured out how to do it by watching him and observing him and helping out in the clinic. And so then Takata came, and Takata was like, you're gonna frickin' if she got healed herself. She was very skeptical. She's like, I don't know about this. And her son was like, no, do it. And she was like, all right, fine, I'm gonna do it. Maybe her son, maybe a nephew, I'm not quite sure on the story. And then it healed her. And so she set up camp in front of Dr. Usui's house for like 7 or 8 or 9 years. And she just like stayed on his porch, like during rain and snow and whatever. And basically just like lived on his front porch, like being like, you're going to teach me this. You're going to teach me this. And so after like 3 or 4 years, Dr. Usui's wife and Takata become very close. And then World War II happens, or is happening, and so Dr. Usui's like, okay, I'll officially train the women or attune the women or whatever. The women, they're accepted now. And yeah, sent Takata out to Hawaii to spread Reiki onto the earth. And then, in the same freaking meeting that he like does this, he does the honorable suicide in Japan, because he thinks that Japan is gonna get blown out of the water. So, that is my Reiki 101 in 10 minutes or less. Yeah, and I love attuning Reiki. I love using Reiki. I'm not all about it anymore because I do think it does have like, it has a very masculine past, and the more and more I work with the goddess and the more and more I work with the earth and the descending consciousness and earth frequencies like fungus and like infections or like, I don't know, like all of these bacterial things, like those all have frequencies too. And I am much more interested these days in tapping into and in tuning into those frequencies. But I'm super open to doing Reiki attunements still. So if anyone wants one, just let me know.